Hi, I'm Danger Dan Jers, the host and GM of the D&D Real Play podcast, D & Dark. Join us on Wednesdays for an absurd, over-the-top comedy horror adventure, starring some of history's most infamous monsters.
I'm Ben Magnet. I play Mary Frankenstein, our barbarian.
I am Daniel Cruz. I am playing Imhotep the Mummy, our cleric.
I'm Jordan, and I play Larry Talbot, a lycanthropic warlock.
I am Grayson, playing Jet Griffin, the Invisible Man, the party's rogue.
I am Aaron. I play the Phantom of the Opera, our bard.
For more information, go to dndarkpodcast.com and listen to us anywhere you find podcasts.
Hey everybody, this is Davis with Con Freaks and Geeks, and I would like to welcome you to another episode of Pop Culture Gems. This is a series where we talk to amazing creators, artists, cosplayers, voice actors, and so much more. If you want to check out more of the series, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel, the CFP channel, or you can listen to it on any podcast services. If you want to check out all the fantastic geeky content in one area, you can always check out our main website, confreaksandgeeks.com, for the whole package. My guest this episode is a voice actor who has had an illustrious career in voicing memorable cartoon characters. He has been on shows like G.I. Joe Sigma 6, Yu-Gi-Oh!, and so many more, but I know him personally as Grand Admiral Thrawn, as the narrator in the many Star Wars books. I got Marc Thompson with me today. How are you doing, my dude?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on.
Awesome. Yeah, so like first of all, I gotta kind of put a little bit of the fangirl in me a little bit, because I've been reading like these books like forever, but it's so great to see have you on here. Well, first off, I just want to know like, first question, like, who is Marc Thompson? Like, what are you? What do you do?
Oh, wow. That's a very profound question. I don't know if I can adequately answer. Who am I?
Like inside the Actors Guild.
Right. I am an onion with many layers. I don't know. Like, I grew up in upstate New York. I was kind of a theater kid, and I was in a speech and debate team, and kind of fell into, musical theater and theater in high school. And that's when I kind of discovered something that I was okay at, that I really enjoyed doing. And then everything just kind of snowballed from there. And I moved to New York City to try to pursue it. And I landed in voiceover. And I love it. It's, I think a lot of it was just because I watched too much TV growing up, and I would mimic things that I, heard there. So, but I'm a big goofball. I'm a nerd. I'm a dad and a husband. And yeah, I'm very lucky because I love what I do.
That is awesome. Like, I mean, like, when I was looking at your list of different like shows, it's funny because it's like, especially with voice actors, it's very interesting to me, because it's like you don't ever see the face, or you don't tag the person's voice to the face,
Right?
And you look at the list of all the things that you have done in this, and then I'm like, well, I just did a simple IMDb check. I'm like, the first reference like back in 1990, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's so amazing to me. So
Yeah,
like,
cool.
yeah. Well, I mean, do you ever feel like one kind of voice acting gig is more difficult than another? I mean, like, what I mean by that is kind of like, I mean, you've been in gaming, animation, like cartoon, anime, like
Right.
voiceover. Like, is there one that's harder than the others when you do this kind of thing?
That's a really good question. They all have their own unique challenges. So if I had to pick one, I would actually probably say that the audiobooks are the most challenging, just because they're like, if commercials are a sprint, audiobooks are the marathon. Like there's just you're in the studio from like 10 in the morning till sometimes 6 at night, and it's 3, 4, 5 days, and there's a lot of preparation work that has to go into it beforehand. So they are the most amount of work in terms of just everything that goes into it. But everything's got its challenges. Like video games and animation, sometimes I'll have sessions where you're screaming like nonstop, and you're only in there for a half hour, but like your voice is shot for a couple days after, because of all the the battle scenes, or the battle cries and everything. So, and you know, and then commercial work, it's like they'll spend 2 hours on one sentence trying to finesse it to get it just right, and the amount of like, you know, mental focus it takes to like try to figure out what do they want, like what is it they're looking for, like that can be challenging. So everything's got its own unique set of hurdles you have to jump over, but I think if I had to pick one, it would be the audiobooks.
Oh, okay, yeah. I like I was just thinking about like with the audiobooks itself in itself, it's like you're literally reading like a whole book, and like it could be like 30 chapters and stuff, and yeah, and I didn't know like how like normally there, like how there's a guild, like the voice acting guild, there's a certain period of time it's usually work. I don't know, does that also go into the audiobook side, or is there something a little different?
I don't know. I need to look into that actually. Keep me in there too long now. I don't know actually. I know with video games they've kind of cracked down on that more recently because they wanted to make sure that people weren't hurting themselves. But I don't know if there's any rules about that. I think it's up to the narrator and the director, I guess, to figure out the best way they want to work. But typically, when I'm doing them, we go all day. So
like what's a session like in just in reading a book and for an audiobook session?
I mean, so I guess everybody's process is different, but for me, it's like obviously I'm reading the book ahead of time, and I'm trying to figure out what character voices I want to do, and then once we get in the booth, for me it's like 10 till like about 6 at night, and they'll let me out for like bathroom and food and stuff like that.
Oh, how gracious of them.
Yeah. But on the Star Wars ones in particular, like usually I work with a director, but on the Star Wars ones in particular, Kevin Thompson is like amazing, and he has kind of perfected this art form in my opinion, and he'll know like what music cue he's going to use with the way I read this particular line, or so like he'll be like, okay, I know what sting I want to use at that moment, and so he'll kind of guide me, and like he'll be like, okay, that was great, move on, or no, you missed the sense of that, let's do that one again. There's for me a lot of starting and stopping, because I will get like temporary dyslexia and start inverting words and phrases, and like when you're staring at the page long enough, you get punchy, and so the editors have a lot of work to do with me.
I mean, like, I'm gonna give you a break on that a little bit though, because I mean, 6 hours. It took me literally just listen. I mean, and I'm doing it lazily. I'm listening to you read the book to me most of the time, and it took me a month just to read Thrawn Ascendancy. And like you're telling me that like you're doing 6 hour sessions reading this book straight on, and like you have to read it in a perfect way, like so. On top of editing, man, now that's something that it's very commendable on your behalf, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, Paul and Kevin make it look better than I actually am. There's a lot of starting and stopping and flubbing in there, but yeah, it's I feel like I have gotten better at it over the years, because it's like a muscle you have to exercise, but it's very challenging to like read straight through without making any mistakes, and I think January Lavoie is the one person I know that can do it somewhat perfectly. Like I hear she makes mistakes, but like Kevin has told me stories about her just being able to like go page after page after page just perfectly. So,
oh, she sounds like a master reader on top of being.
Like, she's very impressive. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right. Let's see. Like I think it would be safe to say that you're a veteran when it comes to being a voiceovers. I mean, you've been in the industry for a long period of time. So, is there a Yeah,
it's true though. I still feel 18, but I don't look it, and I don't. You're right. It's been doing it for a while now.
Not saying that you're old, but I am saying you're a big deal.
It's beard.
Oh man, but is there a series or game that you like, something that you've like wanted to do, but you haven't had the chance to do it yet in your career?
Yes. Now I've been very lucky, so I feel silly asking for anything because I feel like I've gotten to do Star Wars and GI Joe and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and X-Men and a lot of really cool stuff. So, but I would love to do Star Trek. I'm a big Star Trek fan, so I would love to either do a Star Trek audiobook or Star Trek animation. Uh, and I'd love to uh, dip back into Marvel. Like I got to do a motion comic for the X-Men, but I would love to do like some Marvel animation or I did do a Marvel audiobook and that was really fun. But I'd love
that's
to
cool.
maybe do some of the Marvel animations.
Oh, that'd be pretty good. That's really cool. I
Yeah.
didn't even. I would never have pegged you as a Trekkie.
Oh
That's
yeah, no,
wild.
I'm rare because I love both pretty passionately, and I know usually those two forces are like uber
Against each
fighting
other.
each other. Yeah, but I have like Star Trek action figures on my shelf along with my Yodas and stuff. So like yeah, it's funny because like growing up, I would like when I was younger, I was more into Star Trek. Well, wait, that's not true. When I was a young kid, I was into Star Wars. Then as like a teenager, I was like really way more into Star Trek. And my dad's an engineer and very intellectual, and I think we bonded a little over Star Trek. But then when I got older again, I kind of fell. The needle went back more towards Star Wars again. So, but I still love both.
I see.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Star Trek though?
Next Generation. Just
Everyone,
because I grew up on that one, and that's that's the one that was my.
everyone says Next Generation. No one gives love for Deep Space Nine.
Yeah,
But
so okay, this is embarrassing to admit, but I never finished Deep Space Nine because it was right when I was going to college, and I didn't have a
uh
TV in my room, so I need to go back and watch Deep Space Nine.
oh man, it's don't get me wrong. Next Generation is great. I
Yeah,
mean, there's a lot of things that's in it, especially my girlfriend. I went back. I think not that long ago. We actually watched it again. I'm like, this still holds up. It's really a really good series. But like, man, Deep Space Nine. I've always thought of it. It's like, okay, so they gave Cisco literally nothing. The Federation gave him nothing except like 5 people,
oh
and
wow,
said, "Here, here's a condemned a condemned spaceship, and
right,
we need you to make it work." And then
yeah.
it's like, okay, there's 7 seasons of this nonsense, and but no, Deep Space Nine, man,
I gotta
I'm a
finish it because I
yeah.
only got I didn't get through the Dominion Wars, and I knew I would have loved that, so I need to go back.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, most definitely. I think yeah, man, but it's always going to be there for the taking. Just
Yeah,
I'm just saying a nice courtesy push for you to go check it
I
out.
will.
There you go. All right, and for me, when I usually look for a Star Wars book, because like I like to multitask, so audiobooks is one of my favorite things, and I know we're not being sponsored by Audible, but we should be. But I will say this though, like when I look into Star Wars audiobooks, like the first thing I always check when I who's narrating it is you. I mean,
Oh wow, thank
like
you.
yeah, really, like it just like it really resonates when you're reading the stories. I love the characters that you make and everything, so it's
Oh,
really
thanks a
cool.
lot.
Yeah,
That's
so
cool.
yeah, and that goes to show how amazing you really are when you come and do that kind of stuff. So like I'm wanting to know like what is the origin story of you kind of getting into this, like, the Star Wars universe of books, like
All
what,
right.
like how'd you get in?
So it's pretty wild because I I was not much of a reader growing up. Like I didn't read books for fun or, I was the guy in class where we had to read a book. I would get the Cliff Notes version and try to like, watch the movie instead and try to pass the test based on that. So my agent called and said, well, hey, have you ever done an audiobook? And I'm thinking, I didn't want to read books in school. I really don't want to read a book now. So I was trying to kind of talk my way out of it. And I was like, no, not really. I'm not sure they're really my thing. And then she was like, well, what about a Star Wars audiobook? Would you ever do that? I was like, oh, wait, yes. Hold on. Yes, please, please. And then they sent me a couple of pages from the book and I like prayed about it. I was like, God, please let me get this. I like rewatched the movies. I was practicing the voices, and I went in and I read for Kevin Thompson, and they were trying to get someone to be the voice for a 9-book series, which I don't think I knew that at the time, but it was for the Legacy of the Force series, and I got it, and I think that I think I probably got hired because I was coming from an animation background, so I did an okay job mimicking some of the legacy characters like Han and Luke and Leia and Admiral Akbar and things like that. But I definitely had to learn on the job about how to narrate an audiobook, because that was like I was spending all this time on the dialogue, and when we got to like the scenes where characters are talking to each other, to me that was like animation or almost like doing a one-man show or something, and that came more naturally. But when it came to like reading the prose and like the description of the room or the inner monologue, it was hard for me to kind of breathe life into that. And Kevin, I always tell this story, but Kevin like really helped coach me through that and helped me understand that I had to make that engaging as well, not just the character voices, but really make the prose really important and stand out and give that emotional weight. And I always thank him for that, because it makes a huge difference. And it was it was basically my first ever audiobook was Legacy of the Force. And now it's like I've done, including books outside of Star Wars, like over 100 audiobooks now. So
so that's you got it kind of groomed you into something new.
Yeah, and I kind of enjoy it. I enjoy it now. Like I was, as much as I was dreading it, like now I get it. Now I get why books are cool.
It only took, yeah. Well, I mean, hey, I totally agree with you there though too. But like, I didn't know that. So I didn't know that you got in with Legacy of the Force. That was your first book. Was Legacy of the Force the 9? Did you do all 9 parts, or did you do one of the couple of? Oh wow.
Yeah, I did all 9 of those. Yeah.
Wait, was that Thrawn? I wasn't sure.
No. Legacy of the Force was, well, because what we did was when I did Thrawn, we went back and I did the 25th anniversary of those books.
Yes. Okay.
So I think those had been recorded previously by someone else, and then for the 25th anniversary, we re-recorded the Thrawn trilogy, which chronologically came before Legacy of the Force,
Right.
but we were doing the anniversary edition.
That was the one with Mara Jade gets killed by Ben Solo.
Yeah,
I believe
it's been a while. Yes.
It's been a while too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Okay, that's what it was. Oh, sorry, spoilers, by the way. But still,
it's Legends now.
Legends, exactly. Well, that's cool though. Okay, that's wow. I didn't know that was the very first one that you did.
Yeah.
Did you ever work with with like anything Old Republic, like with Drew Karpyshyn?
Yes. I think I should have double checked.
Was it Revan? I believe.
I think I did Revan. Yeah, and I did. There was another one that I did.
Bane
or Bane. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, that was like, that was my introduction to you. It's like I got into, my friend said, "Hey, you got to read the Star Wars books." I'm like, reading? I don't want to read it. So I read Revan first because I was playing Old Republic, the game, for a bit.
Cool. Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, this is actually not that bad of a book. And then I started like Drew Karpyshyn. And then my friend told me, oh, you got to read Darth Bane. He's ruthless. And I'm like, okay. So and then I was like, man, this is a really good story. This is a really good.
They were awesome.
Yeah, great series, man. It's too bad they're all legends now.
Well, you still get to enjoy them. Like they're still,
Yeah, that's true.
And they're drawing on a lot of the legend stuff and kind of reinserting it now. So it's kind of really cool how they're doing that. And like the shows and the comics, like they're going back to the well to some of those things and then just tweaking it a little bit. So
I definitely will. Yeah, definitely agree. Like, I mean, like, who would have thought that Grand Admiral Thrawn, we were actually. By the way, guys, if you haven't seen The Mandalorian, I'm sorry, but like, I mean, like, they're actually making him canon. And technically, he was they did inklings of the series with the Star Wars Rebels, so like, so he's a legit character now, and like that dude is my number one, man. like overall, so that's cool. Before narrating Star Wars stories, and obviously you are a fan of Star Wars. You're a big fan of Star Wars.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't be in the pit of the Mandalorian right now and say that you're not.
The Razor Crest,
yeah. And who are your favorite characters to play when you narrate Star Wars story characters?
I mean, just for pure nostalgia, like anytime I get to do Yoda or Han or Luke, it's like a huge treat for me. And do you or do not? There is no try. It's like, oh, so
You know the one,
you know,
yeah, the one I love, the one I literally loved was your Lando.
oh yeah.
I
And look
loved your.
what do we have here.
I just love the way.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's so great. Man, that's
Yeah.
cool. So you're just the classic guys with the well, I mean, anyone who does Yoda is always going to have a fun time with him. So
Yeah. But and it's fun to create new ones too. Like it's fun to be a part of creating a new character. Like in the Aftermath series, uh, Chuck Wendig wrote this really cool character called Mr. Bones, and it was like a battle droid that got reprogrammed to kind of be the best friend bodyguard to this kid, and it was it's like, I will perform violence now, Roger, Roger. And it's like this really sociopathic droid, and it was so that was fun to kind of create a voice for, or to it's the battle droid voice, obviously, but it's fun.
Oh, so that's always awesome. That's always cool. And I mean, then like I guess it goes into this really easily, but most people remember your core characters like your Grand Admiral Thrawn's, Han Solo's, Luke's, Leia's, and stuff like that. But those are great. I always love those characters. But but I'm amazed of the amount of difference your side characters that you give life in the books too. Do you have a process of giving the voice actors like some of the voices that you give on the side characters? Because like some of the things there's voices of that looks like you're talking while you're inhaling and exhaling at the same time.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, I was like, oh, okay, he's this alien race, but then he can't breathe while he's talking and stuff, Like I wanted to know, like, what is your process with that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So a big part of it is when I first read the book, I will write down anytime someone speaks or has a line of dialogue. And then I'll write down anything that the author tells me about them, like if they're male or female, if they're human or alien. If they're an alien that's appeared in the Star Wars universe before, I'll go on Wikipedia and try to figure out what if there's pictures of it or what they describe the race as, or and then sometimes the author will describe their voice in kind of onomatopoeic ways or very poetic ways that like dry rasp or high shrill or squeak or a low. There was one voice I did recently that the author described it as like almost subsonic, so
Mhm.
like all those clues kind of put me in the ballpark of like, okay, what general area do we need to play with? And then I had this really cool acting teacher at NYU that just talked about like using the different resonators in your voice to kind of create different sounds in your instrument. So sometimes I'll play around with placing different character voices in different in my nasal cavity or in my chest or in my head voice and or falsetto things, and just playing around with different textures and things like that. And then I might play around with different accents to try to make people sound different or distinct. And then sometimes, like with Star Wars specifically, like I'll think about like the puppetry or the masks, and I'll try to like imagine like whenever I do Akbar, I always imagine like my mouth shaped like the puppet mask, and like the fact that I can't move my lips very far, like it helps me kind of get into Akbar and just like kind of positioning my voice in that way. Or like I did a Kubaz in one of the certain point of view books, and I pictured that weird nose
The
tentacle
tendril
thing.
kind of
Yeah,
thing.
so sometimes all that stuff just helps me kind of find something, and then I record it on my phone and listen to it in the booth when it comes time to do the book.
Yeah. See, I mean, there's so many to even think of. There's so many that you've done. I can't really remember all of them, but like I know the most recent ones, like I saw in Thrawn Ascendancy, because I mean, you're basically being like a whole different cast of different kinds of chiss, long as well as like I mean, you got the most formal one, which is Thrawn, but I love like Aralani, for instance. Like
Yeah.
felt like it was like she had to stick up her butt all the whole time, you
Yes.
know, but then it's like she's the very condescending best friend of
Right.
of Braun at the same time. But then all of a sudden you switched over to Cheery, the like 9-year-old little girl that likes to cry and stuff. I'm like, man, this dude is all over the place when it comes to this kind of things.
Yeah, it's pretty
You know?
challenging.
Yeah, very awesome job though. I definitely loved it. But
Thanks.
yeah, so like also and it's not fair to me to ask like, what's your favorite Star Wars story? I mean, you've done tons of them now. So but I will say like, is there any like Star Wars story that kind of sticks out to you? And it could be something that you weren't a part of directly or something that you were a part of, like something that like, something that kind of gave you something memorable in the process.
Oh wow. Yeah, I mean, there's it's like you said, like there's tons I could list off. Dark Disciple has a special place in my heart just because it was fun to revisit a lot of the Clone Wars characters, but like Christy Golden did such an amazing job with Asajj Ventress and Quinlan Voss, and just it was like one of the first times that I was able to kind of get carried away, like not in a bad way, but get kind of like really, I got emotional in the booth, like during some of their scenes. Like I was still in control, but it was like as an actor, you kind of are constantly trying to kind of get in those moments where you're really in touch with what's going on in the story, that the emotion just kind of comes up instead of you having to manufacture it. So I felt that way when we were narrating that one, and that was pretty amazing. And then I got to do the novelization of The Force Awakens, and we did that before the movie came out, so that was a very special experience just because it felt like I was kind of it felt very special to get like the secret script with your name on it, and like I wasn't allowed to read it at home. I had to go to an office, and they like locked me in the office. They disconnected the computer from the internet, so I couldn't like
that's how
send
serious
out.
they are about
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah, no, it was crazy. And like if I had to go to the bathroom, I had to get like someone to lock the room behind me, go to the bathroom, come back, they unlock the room. And then just knowing all the information before the movie came out was like it was like a funny thing, because like I almost, there was a part of me that was like questioning, should I even do this, because I don't want to spoil it, and then but my wife was like, are you crazy, why would you not do this? I was like, oh yeah, right, I should do it. But then it was just weird sitting on the secret of like Han dying, and like
How hard would that be, especially to like not tell your family or anyone? Like
it was
you read it.
so hard. Like and especially as each new trailer would come out, people would speculate, and I'd just be like, yeah, okay, yeah.
You have to like, you kind of have to throw yourself out of the conversation, like you have
Right.
to walk out away from it. Oh my god.
But then opening night, like instead of watching the screen, I was kind of like looking side to side to see what people's reactions are going to be, because I was like, oh, this is going to be cool.
You have the chip on your shoulder of being the inside man of everything that was happening throughout this whole Star Wars mania when the new series was coming out.
Yeah. It was,
oh man.
It was, so that was a fun memory and experience. So.
Oh man, that is so cool though. That's a really cool experience. And I mean, being part of the Star Wars universe for as long as you have, like, I mean, you were there prior to with the extended universe, and then they switched it over to Legends and stuff. Like now, since you're seeing like how Disney has taken the reins over, I mean, since they purchased LucasArts back in the day, what do you think like the steps that they're doing, like right now, for instance, like the Mandalorian, like what do you think, like what do you think about like what they're doing, the direction they're going with like the Mandalorian and stuff?
Oh my gosh, I mean, I love it. Like I know people will accuse me of being a shill, but like I love all of it. Like I'm here for it all. I feel like Mandalorian is such great Star Wars and such great storytelling, and I am obsessed with it, and I love the characters. I love all the messages of family and like the I just think it's totally encapsulated the spirit of Star Wars, and I can't wait. Like I don't know if you saw, but yesterday they have the Disney investors meeting or whatever, and they announced all this other stuff, and I was like,
They went just
freaking out.
said, yeah.
I'm like,
They basically
yes!
just said, "Hey, the Mandalorian's working. It's time to go all in."
Yeah.
Just
Oh.
make sure. Just like take
Totally.
all of it.
Oh, so I can't wait. And like the idea that the Ahsoka show and the Rangers of the New Republic are gonna combine with Mandalorian into one epic story event.
Yeah.
I was like that one sentence was like, what? Like what? No way! It's like we're getting like a Marvel treatment in Star Wars now. Like it's all gonna build towards this major thing. So,
but it seems kind of weird that they're going back and forth, like with like they bring in back the Bad Batch, which I have to say that is a cool story that they added those people, those clones. I just kind of want to know what direction they're going to go with that. Like
from the trailer, I couldn't tell if they were fighting with
for or against.
Exactly, like with the Empire or against it. Like maybe it'll be both. Like maybe they'll start off and then they'll switch, or I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that'll be very, very interesting. I'm actually really hyped to seeing that one, but it's weird though because I mean don't get me wrong, the new trilogy it's all right. I mean I'm kind of old school, so 4, 5, and 6 are my dudes.
Yeah.
But it just seems weird that the Mandalorian, from when I was watching it. What I love about Star Wars is the universe around it. It's not about the Skywalker legacy. The Skywalker legacy is a piece of it,
right?
But like the world building of this is the environments of these people are living inside this world, and they are clearly showing it when he's traveling, to all these different kinds of places, right. And that's what I love about that kind of stuff. And and it's kind of making me kind of fall in love with Star Wars again, because at first it was like, I don't know if I want to be dealing with this for a little bit.
Yeah.
But no, I totally agree. I totally get you. I think they're doing a great job. Jon Favreau is just the GOAT right now.
Totally. Imagine like launching the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the Mandalorian. Like that's like amazing.
I know, right?
Those things under your belt. It's like, holy moly.
It's what's even crazier is that like when he was in the Marvel universe, it's like you didn't even know it was him when he was like, he was happy.
Yeah.
He was the side character. Like, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I was the director of that. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah, totally.
Very amazing, very, very crafty guy, man. I will have to say they did a good move with him. And also being I know you've been doing Star Wars books like I was saying before with LucasArts and stuff, but like overall, like the direction of the books itself, I mean, how are you like overall, do you think what do you think of like the way it's heading? Because like in a way, back in the day before Disney was doing it, there was very little overhead. I mean, I'm assuming there was not as much overhead with LucasArts to be a part of it, but now since Disney has taken the reins of it, they're basically, I mean, Disney keeps they are very protective of their IPs. How different is it now than what it was back in the day? Like, do you think it's for the positive, or is it a negative? If you like to say,
I think it's for the positive, because I think the potential for it all connecting is really great. Like, because like there were some great things in some of the books leading up to the movies that were like not essential to understanding the movie, but they were great little like Easter eggs that when you saw the movie, you're like, oh, that's the thing from the book, like, so that I think that's really cool. And I think like initially when like Rise of Skywalker, Last Jedi, Force Awakens were coming out, I think obviously the books had to maybe take a pause on exploring what happens to Han, Luke, and Leia, because we didn't know what the filmmakers were going to do, so I think there was maybe a little bit of more like pause or caution, but I think like moving forward with like the High Republic and like different things, like we're going to get to explore some really great eras and have some great original storytelling. And I think so. I think the books are really awesome and able to kind of go off in the same way that some of the TV shows are doing, like stories within the universe or stories within the worlds. I think the books are starting to really dig deeper into that stuff and kind of like, but then have these really cool connections to the cartoons and to the movies. And, so in a way, it's kind of the best of both worlds because you're, for a while, the books were the movies because you weren't getting any new anything, so,
Right, right.
so like, so in one sense, they were free to explore stories with some of the main characters that you love from the movies. But now it's like kind of like what you were saying earlier, like now it's like we get to really expand the world and kind of get to know even more characters and more stories, kind of throughout the entire Star Wars galaxy. And so I think
Well,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's definitely good because that was the one gripe I kind of had with the the extended universe. It's like
Right.
there was no control over what was being done. It was crazy. It's like, oh, people are talking about like Old Republic, and then people are talking about post Empire and stuff, and
Right.
very crazy. But no, that's cool. That's very cool, and I definitely like that. I definitely enjoy that. And and one of my personal favorite writers in the Star Wars universe itself is obviously is Timothy Zahn.
Yeah.
The dude is like is pure gold when it comes to his books and stuff.
Yeah.
But like when I see that he released the new Star Wars books, I automatically assume that you're going to be a part of it because it's like you're like the perfect pairing with him, like PB&J, dude.
All right.
Yeah.
Any crunchy peanut butter?
Oh god, extra crunchy, man.
All
Always
right.
extra crunchy. Was there something that naturally made you, want to work together, or was this like something that you like when you read a book, or is this something that was kind of like beyond your hands on, pairing with Zahn?
Yeah, the honest answer is it was beyond my hands. Like I was just lucky enough to be considered for it, and they asked me to do it, and I was very grateful. And I've gotten to meet him a few times, and he's incredibly kind and incredibly smart, and knows that character inside and out, and so it's an honor to be kind of adjacent to him, or to be in the sandwich in some way, shape, or form.
Well, you kind of gave life to his character. I mean, like I said, Grand Admiral Thrawn. I mean, you said that when you did the rewrite of the 25th anniversary of of his series of the trilogy, it's like prior to that it was there, it was known, but like when you gave your Grand Admiral Thrawn really kind of stuck it out, and it seemed like you made it like the blueprint of what most people are doing who do play it in Rebels and stuff. Was essentially what the way you did it, So, I mean,
Well, most of that's in the writing, but yeah, but I appreciate it. Thank you. But,
you gave him the accent, man. I mean, it's like you gave him the accent, you gave him the smugness, the feel of it, man. You got give yourself some sort of credit towards it, Oh man, but no, but I definitely love it, and I mean, have you ever really noticed that? Like, has your Thrawn ever really changed throughout? I mean, the multiple times that you've used it. By the way, like, I mean, since there's been.
Well, yeah, actually, because when I did the 25th anniversary versions, it's a slightly different accent. Like I'm doing it a little bit lower, and a little bit more straight Brit. And then it's when he got reintroduced in Rebels, and then we did the new Thrawn stories that are kind of tied into that. I tried to actually mimic more what Lars Mikkelsen is doing on the cartoon. So it is slightly different. So it's kind of like, influence, but it's still in that same ballpark of like, he's, hyper intelligent, very calm, cool, and collected, so it's just a little bit different.
Are you did you have to match with Lars Mikkelsen more closer to because of his Thrawn?
We chose to, Kevin and I. So I didn't. There wasn't like a on high, command that we do it that way. But I just wanted it to be consistent with what the cartoons were doing. So I tried to kind of get it closer to that.
Okay, that's so awesome. No, that's great. Well, I mean, Mark, it was great talking to you. I love geeking out with you. It's always
Yeah,
fun.
super.
Well, is there anything you're wanting, like, is there anything else you wanting to plug or anything that's going on?
Empire Strikes Back, Certain Point of View just came out, and I do a bunch of the short stories on that one, and that's
Mhm.
really super fun and really amazing. And yeah, that's about it. There's more stuff coming, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you for your time, Mark. I really, really appreciate you coming on. Definitely, guys, definitely check out his stuff. If you haven't checked out Audible itself, once again, not sponsored, but definitely check out his stuff out. His stuff out on Audible. Audible. They have really good Star Wars stories on there. But if you're definitely want to check out more content from us, go to our main website, confreaksandgeeks.com, and check out Pop Culture Gems. Well, this is Davis signing off. Y'all take it easy.